the classic OMD track Souvenir. Paul Humphreys from OMD joining me now, and that was Souvenir, a little bit different because it was with the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra, as recorded, well, a couple of months now up there in Liverpool, Paul.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was the first thing for our, the first event of our 40th anniversary celebrations, because it was within a week of our 40th anniversary of playing Eric's here in Liverpool. So any opportunity to play with an orchestra, I love it. And the Liverpool Philharmonic, Royal Liverpool Philharmonic, are just so wonderful. It's kind of intimidating though, because
I bet.
Me and Andy are the worst two musicians on stage. So everyone else around you is an incredible player. So
I just wonder whether you can actually, when you hear the CD back, you can probably hear it differently to how you indeed perhaps felt in your core on the night, even though you would have been excited because you're so sort of concentrating and thinking about what's going on. You probably need to hear the CD to actually realise how good it sounded in the hall.
Well, exactly, yeah, because we have like these in-ear monitors and we just hear what we need to hear for the performance. But and also, with an orchestra, because it's so damn expensive to play with an orchestra, you only get one rehearsal. So you're also a bit flying by the seat of your pants, but that's the energy of it. I love that.
So there's not going to be an OMD orchestral tour then, because the orchestra's too expensive.
Far too expensive. Yes.
It's a nice idea. It's a nice idea, but not what's going to happen. So, are you very pleased with the outcome of the album? The Royal Philharmonic album?
Yeah, it's really good, actually, yeah. I mean, what was wonderful about it is that, so many, we did it in two halves. We did our sort of more weird, sort of orchestral, abstract stuff in the first half, and in the second half we did all our pop songs.
Yeah.
So, but it was really fun doing all the obscure kind of, in inverted commas, songs from our albums, like Stanlow and Sealand from Architecture Morality and things like that, because they were kind of orchestral songs anyway. We were using a mellotron, which is an emulator of an orchestra when we made them. So it wasn't too much of a stretch to actually play them with a full orchestra. But they definitely sounded more glorious than the record. So yeah, it was great fun.
Oh yeah, good. Well, it does sound lovely. You've reminded me there, talking about the mellotron and talking about things and your 40-year history as OMD. I seem to recall either you writing in Smash Hits or telling me on a previous interview that your first main synthesizer cost you the equivalent of a house back in the day. Is that right?
It wasn't our first one, but our first one we bought from Andy's mum's mail order catalogue for £7 a month.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, the Fairlight. I mean,
the Fairlight. Yeah.
Yeah, the Fairlight was the first. I mean, this is when computers weren't, in households, and it was the first sort of music computer that you can write music with and record music on, and it really was. It cost about 30 grand, and it was the same price as Andy's mum and dad's house was on the market for.
Wow.
So, I mean, everyone was horrified. You've spent what on a computer?
Yeah, and now you could probably do as much on your mobile phone.
Oh, you can do more on a mobile phone.
You?
I mean, I actually have an app of the Fairlight. You can get an app for $49.
Wow.
And it's exactly the same as the 30 grand machine.
Wow, how times have changed. I mean, what do you think now then when you first of all pinch yourself and you think this is the 40th anniversary of OMD? What goes through your mind when people like me say that back to you?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways it feels like yesterday when we started, and in some ways it feels like a whole lifetime. I mean, it's but no one is more surprised than us that 40 years on we're still doing it, and we're still releasing records, and we're still touring and selling out shows around the world. It is quite extraordinary to think we've managed to do that, because we were only ever going to do one concert. I mean, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark was an experiment to go on stage at Eric's, and it was like a box ticked. Okay, we've done that, but we got asked to do another show in Manchester, so we thought, okay, we'll do a second gig then. I mean, when you think about it, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark is such a preposterous name.
Yes.
That we didn't choose it for a career. It was for a gig. But then when we played in Manchester on our second gig, that's when we met Tony Wilson from Granada Reports, the TV personality who used to put local bands on, and so we gave him a tape and just cheekily trying to get on the telly just so we could say we've been on the telly too and wave to our mates, he didn't get back to us, and then 2 weeks later he said, "I can't get you on the telly because it's all booked up, but I'm starting a label, Factory Records. I've just signed Joy Division, and I would love to put out a single." And then our career just started from there.
Do you have favourites from the back catalogue? I mean, I know you have to play loads of songs like Souvenir that we heard earlier,
Yeah.
when you tour and when you go on stage, but do you have particular favourites of your own?
My favourites are, I mean, we love the singles. I mean, the singles have served us so well, and we love to play the singles live because that's what people want to hear. But I think some of our more obscure songs are some of my favourites. There's a song on Dazzle Ships called The Romance of the Telescope, and also Of All the Things We've Made are probably my favourites, and I think Andy would agree. I think they're Andy's favourites too.
Why? Why particularly?
Because I think they just captured a moment, and there's a certain kind of beauty in them that the sort of melancholic beauty that we always tried to capture in our songs, and I think those songs captured that the best.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about the book, which is chronicling the 40th anniversary, in a few moments' time, and I'm going to try and eke some tour details out of you before the end of our conversation. But why don't we do that one right now, the one you just mentioned there, Romance of the Telescope, because that's normally one of the songs you play, am I right at the end of your live shows?
Yes, we do, yeah. Well, we played it with the orchestra as well, which was fabulous.
Romance of the Telescope, Paul Humphreys from OMD, my acquaintance. He's with me here on Richard Green's Retro Show. The 40th anniversary, we've got to mention that there's all sorts of things happening to celebrate this sort of milestone. I know there's all sorts of vinyl coming out. There's
Indeed.
a book, Pretending to See the Future, which is a great title because I guess you were pretending to see
exactly
the future.
what we were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, when Andy and I first heard Kraftwerk, we thought that electronic music was going to be the future, and so on our first album we wrote a song called Pretending to See the Future because we were doing this sort of electronic music, and but we thought it was the perfect title for the book, really, because that's exactly what we were doing, and the book is like the second sort of offering for our anniversary celebration. With the gig with the Philharmonic being the first, but the book, it's the second book that's ever been done by about OMD, and because the first one was written actually by my brother in the 80s, and it sort of catalogued our life and those times. So we thought we didn't want to do just another book of and then they did this and then they did that. We thought we would do it in other people's words. I mean, there are a lot of quotes from Andy and myself and all the band, but really it's about the fans. I mean, the fans. We put it out on social media that we're writing a book, and to submit stories about what OMD means to them, and particular gigs that interesting things happened at the gigs, but also I think one of the most wonderful things about being in a band is the effect your songs have on people, and you never really get to talk to people about how our songs have affected their lives. And there's some wonderful stories in the book about how, I mean, this people have songs have got them through deaths in the family and breakups in relationships, and we've been played at 3 different funerals over the years, but these songs have meant a lot to people, and this book sort of shows that. But also we've had submissions like the foreword is written by Professor Brian Cox.
Nice. Yes.
who was always a big fan, and
Yeah.
he documents his visit as a kid to Stanlow Oil Refinery, which is one of the weird songs that we did on the Organisation album. And but there's contributions from Gary Newman and Moby, and people who have who have been affected by our music, and that's been the wonderful thing about the book. We've also tried to include photographs in there that people have never seen. We've gone through our own personal archives and personal memorabilia of our 40 years of OMD, and I think it's a lovely book.
It is. I've seen it, and I flicked through to 1984, because you're going to have to indulge me now, Paul
Yes.
Humphreys, because that was the first time I met you and Andy. You won't remember this, but I was
I might.
I was 17 at the time,
Right.
and you guys were playing at Southampton Gaumont, probably for about £3.75 a ticket,
Yeah,
like some of
probably.
the
If that.
Yeah, if that, back in the day. Good value for money. And I came and did an interview with you guys as a very young sort of up and coming music journalist, and I don't remember much about the interview, to be fair, but I do remember at the end Andy saying to me, "Here, Rich, we're staying in Southampton tonight. What's the best nightclub to go to?" And I thought to myself, well, in the moment, I thought, well, I don't really know. I wasn't one for the nightclubs in Southampton at that tender age. And I said, oh, well, I do know one down the road, which I can't even remember the name of now. But I sort of said, yeah, you need to go there. And I understand you guys did go there, and it was the worst place in the world.
I seem to remember this, actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were in our early 20s then, so we were up for a party then. Now after the show, we're so exhausted we go straight to bed. But,
well, yes, I can imagine. Well, this comes on to something else I wanted to touch base with you on. I mean, I hear there is going to be a big tour. Is that right?
Yes. All I can say is that we are doing a 40th anniversary tour of the UK, Europe, America, Canada, South America, all kinds of places. So check the OMD website. They're actually all booked, and it's a very big tour of the UK.
Wow! So you're going to all four corners of the UK, and indeed most of the globe, by the sound of it.
Yes. Well, we thought if there's a license to celebrate our back catalogue, now's the time. 40 years, So we're just going to kind of enjoy the celebration of it all, really.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I noticed from the book, which towards the end of the book, I think you say, and I'll paraphrase, Paul, if you don't mind, you sort of said, "Oh, I don't want to be doing this when I'm 70."
Yeah, but you know what? I remember Andy when we were just kids. He said, "You know what? If we're still making music when I'm 28, just shoot me."
Well, there you are, and you're still doing it today.
And we're still doing it today.
So is that a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing? I mean, have you thought? I mean, I'm not saying you should, but I'm just saying, have you thought about? You've got this mark in the sand of the 40th anniversary. Did you think, well, that might be the time to just not retire? I don't mean retire, but sort of relax a bit more, if you see what I mean.
Well, the thing is, I mean, when we got the band back together in sort of 2006, it was, and we said, well, let's just kind of do this on our own terms, and we'll just do it maybe part-time. We'll do 6 months of OMD, 6 months something else. It just doesn't work that way. When you're in a band that's successful, you have to just keep doing it. It's kind of all or nothing. So.
Yeah, whilst people want to see you.
But the thing is that we love what we do. I mean, the good thing is that we all get along as a band. Andy and I particularly, we're great friends. I mean, we've known each other for 51 years now, because we met when we were 7.
Wow.
So at primary school, so we go back an awful long way, and we actually love being in OMD. In fact, I personally love being in OMD more than I ever did. I love the band, I love the touring, we have so much fun doing it. I mean, the thing is, we don't have to do OMD anymore. We do it because we love it, and we keep saying every year, well, let's review how we feel about being in OMD, and do we still want to do it? Do we still have the energy to do it? And I mean, I'm now in Liverpool, and I'm staying at Andy's house, and this morning we were writing a song.
Were you?
So yeah.
Oh, give us a little hint then. I mean, what was the sort of content? Was it a love song? Was it one of the weird OMD Stanlow-esque type things?
It was a pop song, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, it could potentially be a single. I can't say any more than that. But,
could potentially be a single.
Yeah.
Because, listen. Do you know what? I can tell that you and Andy have been mates for 51 years because he does exactly the same thing to me. Whenever I chat to him, I say, "So Andy, what's coming up?" And he says, yeah, well, there's lots of exciting things, all of which I can't tell you about." And I say, you tease us. But there we are. But I understand why, in the way that the music business is nowadays. So
yeah, my manager says just don't give it away, because there will be an announcement. But one thing I have been working on, actually, which I can tell you, is for the last 5 weeks I've been in my studio in London mixing 22 unreleased tracks. I went to the EMI archive, which is out near Heathrow. Amazing place. It's where all the Beatles tapes are kept. It's like a proper vault, with the big metal door and the big wheel to open it. Most amazing place. And they've stored all our songs and all our tapes for 40 years are all in there. And so I went in there and I went, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. And so I got all the tapes out and found 22 unreleased pieces of music. So I've been mixing those for release at some point next year.
So a bit of an anthology sort of thing.
I can tell you that. Yes, Universal are going to be celebrating our 40th anniversary with a really beautiful package. I can't say any more.
Okay.
But the 22 unreleased pieces of music will be in there.
Brilliant. So what do you think sustains your friendship then with Andy nowadays? Because I know that in some parts of the book, which we've been talking about, you know, Andy says, "Oh, I can be a right cantankerous so-and-so."
Well, we both can be. I mean,
okay.
That's the thing. I mean, you know, life is never very, life is never easy, is it? I mean, personalities, particularly when you're living together, on buses, and, you know, you can't escape one another. So if you spend too much time together, you can just get on each other's nerves, and the slightest little thing can set you off. But you know, we're kind of, Andy and I are kind of like brothers. You know, we'll fight like brothers, and you know, but we love each other really.
And so finally, Paul, what about the fans? Because I guess they're actually the mainstay, the main reason for OMD to continue going into the future. Because if there wasn't people who wanted to hear your music and see you live and enjoy what you do, then you'd be doing something else. You'd be hoovering your flat or whatever, wouldn't it?
Well, exactly. I mean, we only continue to do it because, you know, there is a demand for OMD, not just in the UK but around the world. And, you know, we do tours that regularly sell out, and we sell out, you know, good-sized venues. And people still want to come and see us and hear us and buy our new records. What's been interesting is that in the last couple of years, we have clearly noticed that our audience, as we get older, our audience is getting younger. I mean, there's still the fan base that grew up with us and kind of like our age. But there's also a lot of younger people coming to see us, and we're not quite sure why that is. Whether maybe it's because of the internet phenomenon now and Spotify and things like that. And, you know, if you like this, you might like that. And people are getting introduced to us where they wouldn't normally find us, because we don't get played hugely on the radio anymore. So it's got to be an internet phenomenon. And also a lot of younger bands are citing us as an influence on them. So perhaps their younger fans are hearing about us through the bands that they like and come and see us. But whatever the reason, we're getting a lot of younger people coming to our gigs now, which is fantastic. You know, we've got a whole younger generation of people enjoying OMD. But they're not just coming out of fascination. I'm seeing, like, people in their 20s down the front row singing along with very obscure OMD songs. So they have got into us.
Which is absolutely lovely to see. I've remembered that nightclub, Barbarella's in Southampton.
Barbarella's,
You've forgiven me, have you?
I've forgiven you, yeah.
Oh, good man. Okay,
yeah,
listen.
We can make a night out of anything, even if the place isn't
there we are.
great.
Yes, yes, I remember it now. I remember it well. I did go there afterwards and realised I was so embarrassed.
It probably doesn't exist still.
No, it doesn't. But I thought, I was embarrassed afterwards. I thought, why? Why did I do that? Anyway, Paul, it's lovely to speak to you again.
Lovely to speak with you.
It will be great to see you when your 40th anniversary tour comes to somewhere in this neck of the woods, and we'll keep an eye out for those dates.
It will be there'll be a show somewhere near you.